So what do you see as the influences of media on contemporary ethical decision-making and public relations? What role does the media play in the way that public relations is making decisions?
Are you talking about new media or media in general?
Actually, the next question I was going to ask you
About
was
new
about
media.
new media. So we can talk maybe traditional media and then maybe go to new media. Or if you want to answer that
No,
together,
I mean,
you're more than welcome to.
The new media brings a new element, but of course in public relations you deal with the media. Not always. People sometimes confuse public relation with publicity, but we have a wider range of what public relation is, and for me, public relation is, a public relation executive is someone who is an advisor, counselor in communication. So it can be for a CEO who's writing a speech or going to talk to the shareholders. It doesn't always involve the press. It can be internal communication, but it involves the press very often, especially for commercial clients. And so ethics and the media, it's the same thing. You have to build trust with journalists. You have to make, the interest of your clients to defend, but you have your own reputation at stake. So you have to make sure there's a correct balance. You have to make sure you're comfortable doing what you do. Someone said, never do anything you don't want published in the front page of next morning newspaper. Or don't write an email that you would be embarrassed to read in court. We have to know that these things last. I had one experience where we had a problem with a client, and it was going to be news, and I knew the story, and we had really done nothing wrong, but there's some explanations. So I talked to David, Finn, and the executive committee, and they allowed me to speak freely to one journalist that trusted me. So I told her the story first, and she wrote a wonderful front page article for the press with the exact truth of what had happened. And this would not have happened unless she had trusted me and I trusted her. I had to trust her too, because she could take my words and turn them around and say different things. I've been on Fox. They called, I gave an interview and a letter, and I saw how the media can mislead you, can take a quote, put it in another context to give a totally different story. So there's also some unethical behavior on the media as well, especially when they already have a point of view and they're just trying to get something you said to reinforce that view.
So let's talk about new media a little bit. Has new media, including the internet and social media, made the public relations industry more or less ethical? Has there been an influence? Are journalists still the watchdogs of business? And how will technology influence the public relations industry in years to come?
It's like three
questions in
questions.
one.
I better read them again.
Right.
Give me the
We can
first
start
one.
with has new media, including the internet and social media, made public relations more or less ethical?
You know, I don't think you can be more or less ethical. I think you have to have a basic concern. Ethics is trying to do the best you can with the information you have and with your values. I think most people think they're ethical, and I think most people want to be ethical, but yet things happen because of lack of reflection, lack of sharing with others and looking at others' people's experience, and because of speed. You have to do something right away. You somehow have a feeling this is not just right, but you just ignore it and go ahead, and then, oh my God.
Do you think that the internet and social media has made public relations more or less ethical? I mean, is there an influence?
I think people realize that the speed at which things are done with the new media and also the scope of the coverage of what you are going to do, it has made people slowly but surely more aware of the dangers of ethical lapses.
Some people say that there's more transparency in social media, that organizations are required to be more transparent because there a lot of people can participate in the conversation
Right. Absolutely, because the public has multiplied in numbers, and exposure is so much increased. The visibility is greater. So of course there's more scrutiny.
So do you think journalists are still the watchdogs of business, or have people become the watchdogs through social media?
I guess it depends on journalists. Some are not really a watchdog, they're just interested in business or have personal agendas. It's a great role to have. I hope many stay that way. But the fact that the public can become journalists in themselves with blogs and probably diminishes some of that role.
And then how do you think technology will influence the public relations industry in years to come? Do you think it's that social media is here to stay, or is this another fad?
No, I think it's here to stay, and it will grow. It will grow. What's next and new, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's in the same direction. Things will never be the same again.